Welcome, gentle listener. I am Voldemort, your faithful servant, and I wish to introduce you to the important factions, forces, and units of the Warhammer 40k universe, the grim darkness of the far future, where there is no time for peace. There is only time for war. If you are a regular gentle listener, then I would ask that you check that you are still subscribed and have notifications on. If not, then do please consider subscribing, as then you will not miss out on ongoing narratives, if that sort of thing appeals to you. And today, we are to take a very brief look at some of the most twisted beings in the setting. Of course, I can only be speaking of the plague surgeons of the Death Guard. I will apologize if this entry is a little brief, but I am on leave this week, so just a morsel to tide us over until my return with a full spread. But let us get on with it. And so, as usual, for the very basics, let us lean on existing wisdom. To quote, Plague Surgeons. Ours is a solemn duty, though we perform it with fulsome glee. Grandfather Nurgle lavishes his generous bounty upon us, but so too does he hang a heavy weight of trust about our necks. Never must his seething children wither, always must they multiply and thrive. Such is our most glorious calling, and no sacrifice is too great in its furtherance. Nauseous Rotbone, Plague Surgeon. Sinister hooded figures, plague surgeons drift through the mayhem of battle, like ghoulish spectres of death. They were once Death Guard apothecaries, who brought healing to those who could be saved, and absolution to those who could not. Damnation transformed their order, rendering them the dark antithesis of what they once were. The unnatural resilience of Mortarian sons leaves little call for conventional medicine. Fresh wounds seal with bulbous flab and clotted pus, while any damage serious enough to lay one of the Death Guard low is usually so catastrophic that no amount of suturing or surgery can save them. Instead, the plague surgeons tend to the well-being of the diseases that their brothers carry within their rotting bodies. Like proud fathers, the plague surgeons spare no effort in tending to all of Nurgle's children. Their bodies are incubators for every form of parasite and phage, their flesh and blood offered willingly as living nurseries for these ghastly offspring. As a result, the very touch of a plague surgeon is virulently infectious, while every breath they exhale teems with spores and demon motes. The miasma that seeps from their senses and the filth that drips from their weapons and surgical instruments only add to this effect. Any foe foolish enough to engage a plague surgeon in combat will soon be crawling with empiric disease. Plague surgeons bolster the potency of Nurgle's plagues in friend and foe alike. The narthekium-like instruments upon their arms contain booster vials and macrostimulants for plagues both natural and warp-spawned, imbuing Nurgle's servants with new strength even as they worsen the enemy's sickness to lethal degrees. Plague surgeons also have another role upon the field of battle, one that has earned them the unending hatred of the Emperor's Space Marines. Their surgical tools still include ancient, rust-furred reductors capable of cracking open the body of an Adeptus Astartes and extracting his gene seed. While plague surgeons gather the mutated progenoids of their Death Guard brethren whenever they can, despite many having rotted to an untenable degree, they take a macabre glee in falling upon dead or dying royalists, ripping the progenoid glands from their victims and spiriting them away from the battlefield. Some of this gene seed is used in the creation of new Death Guard, while the fate of the rest is best left unspoken. Nauseous Rotbone. The name of Nauseous Rotbone is infamous throughout the Death Guard and beyond, for this accomplished plague surgeon is the personal physician of Mortarion himself. It is Rotbone, who sees to the virulence of the plague censors borne into battle at Mortarian's feet, and the putrid feculence of the demon mites that bear them. It is he who draws his Primox demonic ichor with needles and grizzle leeches for use in gruesome rituals and unclean rites. Rotbone listens to his gene sire's embittered rants with a doctor's wry patience, and is one of the few individuals in the galaxy whom Mortarian will permit to disagree with his pronouncements or challenge his plans. Originally, Rotbone belonged to the Sons of Sorrow, a Victorium of the 7th Plague Company. Since being chosen and elevated by Mortarian, seemingly on a whim, he has fought alongside and even led forces from all the different plague companies. He is the keeper of the surgical dungeons deep within Mortarian's Black Manse, wherein the Death Guard keep their stocks of tainted gene seed, and Rotbone's assaults into real space are most often launched to gather new samples for his genetic treasure trove, with which he delights in tinkering. End quote. And now I, for one, am very happy indeed that these foul beings are not able to actually heal their allies on the field of combat. Because the Death Guard are a tough lot, and removing them from the table can be a real pain. Having them pop back up like a legion of Necrons would be heartbreaking, I can assure you. And I feel this is an excellent thing indeed. For like the Death Guard, many of the present army codices seem to be really pushing the strength of the faction in question, and almost rewarding some for playing a more narrative or lore-friendly army. But, due to the obvious, I have not played nearly enough games to really enjoy the new codices yet, and especially the new edition. Yet. Something I hope to rectify on my return. I have been Voldemort, your faithful servant. I hope you've enjoyed this brief introduction to Plague Surgeons. If so, then do please consider liking and subscribing. If you do, then hit the notifications button, as I would not want you to miss out. If you see the worth in what we are doing, then do also consider joining our Patreon, or giving the video a share if that is beyond your present scope. It would be a great boon. Now, no matter what you do today, do try to make some time for fun. Toodaloo.